Sawadika and welcome to Voice of the Nation. Today you're with me, Nina Nirashamalisak Lamia. And today, Voice of the Nations, we are at Hu Krajong House. Here with me, we have a very special guest, Kun Natty.
Sawadika.
Kun Natty, you are the owner of the page of
Natty
in Myanmar.
Yes.
Right. She is a specialist of Myanmar. For today, Kun Natty will talk about her recent trips, her last recent trip visit after 2 years?
Over 2 years.
Over
I think.
2
Yeah.
years that she hasn't visited Myanmar. So first of all, Kun Natty, could you please introduce yourself?
Sawadika. My name is Aurovita Misak, or you can call me Natty. I'm currently a communications manager for Index Creative Village. So my main responsibilities are overseeing the businesses in terms of communications. We are an event and marketing communications agency in Myanmar. So our services include PR, marketing, digital marketing, event management, video productions, or all kinds of advertising, all kinds of marketing services.
Almost everything.
Yes, we do everything related to communications and event, of course. So that I have been working in Myanmar from 2014 to 2020 before the COVID. So when the COVID started, so I had to come back to Thailand to be based in Thailand, but still continue working with Myanmar clients.
Well, when we're talking about Myanmar, you already have passions about this country ways before you actually decided to go to work in Myanmar.
So back then, before I moved to Myanmar, I was a correspondent, a Myanmar correspondent at The Nation, at Nation Multimedia Group. So I discovered Myanmar through like a forum, and then I was interested in the country, and then I felt like, Myanmar is our neighbor country.
Right.
We share over 2,400 kilometers borders, but we don't really know much about the country.
Right.
I mean, back then we didn't really know much. Back then in like 2012, we didn't really know much about the country.
We all know little,
Yes.
in the little area that most
Right.
Thai people know.
Yeah, through history classes, basically. So I felt like I needed to know more about the country. I decided to make my first trip in 2012. So that when I went there, I fell in love with the country. I was attracted to the traditional. I would say the traditions, which is very different than Thailand. Like people still wear the traditional clothes.
Yeah,
and
still preserve their traditional.
Right, exactly. Right, and then like the Buddhism also attracts me. People are very religious, and the society, the way back then, it was like completely different than Thailand, which is
Not like what Thai people understood about Myanmar people.
no, because the perceptions of Thai people towards Myanmar, so most of them see only the migrant workers, and many of them have I would say negative perception towards Myanmar
right.
people. But then when I went there inside,
It's
it's completely different. People are very kind and they're very helpful, and especially toward foreigners. I feel that it's completely different than what most Thai people think. So it's been my goal since then to promote Myanmar in a different perspectives toward the Thai society, the Thai people.
But if we talk about your recent trips to Myanmar,
Right.
You haven't visited Myanmar for over 2 years after the COVID-19 situation, and then after what happened last year, which is the
The coup.
unrest, the coup.
Yeah.
Could you please talk about your recent trip in Myanmar? How was it like?
It was, I would say, quite different. So it was quite different in terms of before that. It was free visa, right? Every, like Thai people, we can use like the ASEAN citizens
Right.
benefit to travel to Myanmar without visa.
Without visa.
Right. But then like now they require the visa for both the tourists and then the business as well. Of course, the business visa has always been there, but then like the tourists now, you need a visa to enter Myanmar. On top of that, you also need the insurance. You need to also buy the insurance as well. Yes, which is quite, a bit complicated and a bit hectic for travelers. Though they actually they just opened, so it's still quite complicated in terms of the visa processing. But now I would say their intention was to try to facilitate the tourists by
Tourism business.
allowing the tourists and the business to apply the visas through online. So that
Was it hard to apply a visa?
it was quite straightforward, but then like you need a lot of documents because of the COVID as well. So both the COVID and then the insurance and then the visa fee and such. So all the documents required. But if you prepare all the documents, the process was quite smooth.
Right.
Yeah. So
where did you apply for it? At the embassy?
Oh no, it's through e-visa.
E-visa, Myanmar.
So e-visa, they have a website that you can upload all the documents and pay through credit cards, and then you can.
Payable.
Yeah, it's payable through credit cards. But of course you need a credit card. But some people don't have credit cards, so they can apply through agents as well. So
after the visa process, you finally visit Myanmar. After over 2 years, how was it the first time?
I was quite quite shocked,
change?
of course, because with the COVID as well. So there are more, you need like the either the vaccine certificate or the PCR test. Yeah, and then once I reached the airport, the atmosphere was completely different. It was deserted. The airport, there was like no one was allowed inside, or like no one, like even like outsiders, you cannot like enter
Very
the
strict.
airport. It's very strict, and then you need on arrival ATK test as well. And there was no duty free. There was only one exchange booth inside, like the baggage area, and outside there were lots of shops, and people could just come and like dine at the shop, or like there were like SIM card booths, and there was no SIM card booth anymore. So outside it was just only a few like banks. So for the exchange counter actually. So that was it. So it was like no one was allowed in. It was just completely empty.
How was the city?
The city, I would say, it became like quiet, a lot more quiet. Only the traffic jams is only during rush hours, like from 5 to around like
Just
7
like normal office
p.m.
hours,
Yeah.
people rush in and out.
Yeah, that's it. But then usually like before that, it was like traffic all day, a lot of cars, a lot of people going on. It was like a lot of energy, but then like now it was like quiet, and not many people or not many cars on the streets anymore. You don't see people.
Is this because of COVID, or is it because of the unrest situation from last year?
I think both, because like people, it was quite unfortunate for Myanmar to experience both COVID and coup at the same time.
Right.
So it makes the situation a bit more, I would say, depressing. Yeah.
Okay, but for tourists right now,
Yeah.
Myanmar accepts tourists, but you have to apply a visa. In terms of touristic perspective, how do you see in that?
So people ask me a lot that is it safe to travel to Myanmar now? My answer to them is that for the city Yangon is quite safe. However, it's not completely or 100% safe. So you have to travel at your own risk, because you don't know what's going to happen. For example, meaning there could be bombs, that could be protests, like
anything can happen.
Anything can happen at any time and
So
anywhere.
you gotta be cautious at your own risk.
Yes, you have to travel at your own risk. But generally, during my trip, it was fine. It was like no bombing. There was no flash mob protests or anything. So it was fine. So generally, it was fine. But then like there were also some cases of like I would say fired or bombing. In some areas as well.
In Yangon?
In Yangon, but it's not. So it was just like, like if you travel like to places such as like the Chittagong or the Bodhata Pagoda.
That one is fine.
Yeah, those are fine.
Because it's temples.
Areas. Areas are fine. But then like I would not recommend people to walk around
around the city?
Yeah, just because a lot of people just want to do like walking tours and such, I would not recommend that, and I would not recommend taking taxis like normal taxi. I recommend to use Grab, yeah, because it's safer. Because not only the bombings and the protests, but also there are a lot of I would say robbery as well. Because pickpockets, robberies, and because because of people suffer. They lost their jobs. They don't have any income. So, and all the prices of goods.
Life is hard.
Yeah, life is hard, and goods have been, like the price of goods have been like, yeah, goods are discussed. Price of goods have increased. So, a lot of people have, don't have any money, so they turn into like robberies or even like sex workers. Yeah, so have to be careful for that. But then my trip was fine, was okay. I mean, generally if you
people are still
Yes.
nice.
Yes, bottom line is people are still nice and they're still kind and still helpful. And Myanmar people are still Myanmar. They're very like hospitable, and then they're very helpful, they're very kind. I mean, the beauty is still there, I would say, but then of course with the situations you have to be more careful in
about
terms
that.
of traveling. Yeah,
I think it's everywhere.
I think it's everywhere. Yeah, and I think it's everywhere. And I also think that it's quite a dilemma for me whether I should promote people to come to Myanmar or not, because a lot of people saying that of course the visa fee or the insurance would go toward the military government, but then like I think of people, like the people
They
who
still
are
need to earn their living.
exactly.
And when you visit that, your money will go through with them directly.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. That I want to help people. I want to help the kids on the street selling postcards. I want to help like the tour guides, or I want to help people in the service industries, or related businesses in the ecosystem to be able to gain the income again.
Right.
The thing is that we don't know when this is going to end. That's the main question. We don't know when it's going to end, and people are suffering daily. They're suffering every day. They don't have money. They don't have income every day. So what, do we have to wait until like Myanmar to be, democratic country again?
Right.
But what about these people, So, but then again, I also promote that you have to travel at your own risk.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But apart from Yangon, outside of Yangon, like other country, like maybe Bagan.
Like Bagan, like Mandalay, I would say it's not, the risk is higher than in Yangon.
So right now, just travel to Yangon is recommended.
Yeah, travel to Yangon is, I would say, travel to Yangon is generally okay, but for outside of Yangon, still have to be more cautious. Like for example, Mandalay, from what I've heard, you cannot go out of the hotel after 8 p.m. because the situation outside of Yangon is still quite tense.
Right.
There's also shootings. There are also I would say the situations they're still not really 100% completely safe.
What about the new capital?
Naypyidaw.
Yes. What about
I would not recommend. I mean, there was not much to travel in Naypyidaw anyway. So, but Bagan and Mandalay are also still okay, but it's still like you have to be at your risk,
extra careful,
more cautious. You have to get in touch with the local in order to be informed on the situation. Yeah.
So Natty, since you're working for Index Creative Village, how is the situations or investments situations or business situation in Myanmar? How is it right now after over 2 years?
I would say it's more difficult, of course, with the continued changes in the regulatory, and then with the current I would say situations on the banking situation, or even the world problems right now. The world crisis right now is also affect Myanmar as well, and with the COVID and the coup, everything seems like a bit. I mean, not a bit. I would say a lot more challenging than before. But of course, in every situation, there's also an opportunity.
Opportunities, right?
Yes. So Myanmar people still have to eat. and continue their life. So of course, businesses have to still go on. And also, the local companies also have to move on. And of course, the international company who have already invested in Myanmar a large amount, they also have to proceed that business as well. So there's still opportunities for business. But also you need to know how to navigate the market. You have
Work it out.
you have to understand the market, and you have to, I would say, not just understand, but understand thoroughly on the market and the situation.
Study well.
Yeah, and you have to know people, and of course you have to find the best solution for your business. Yeah.
What are the opportunities in Myanmar that you would like to recommend for, let's say, international investors or even Thailand?
Something that we could look at is the something online, because online, of course, there are restrictions in terms of online, but there's also still opportunity. People have shifted the behavior from offline to online quite a lot since the COVID. So there's also opportunities for that. And of course, the FMCG is still there. Of course, even though the purchasing power seems to be dropped, but then people still continue to eat, to drink anyway. And for cosmetics, there's also cosmetics. There's also opportunity for that. So basically the basic goods, and then for online seems to be quite. I would say there's still quite opportunities there.
What about housing?
The housing situation,
real estate.
For the prices of because there were a lot of projects back then, but now like the room rates have dropped because there are a lot of supplies, but there's not much of demand. Yeah, so I think in my opinion, real estate is still something that we have to still look at and see the situation, monitor, but not really flourishing at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, last, what do Myanmar people like about Thailand?
Of course, first of all, like for the people, right? We share the spirits of fighting,
Since what, 300 years ago?
No, this is the reason after the coup, because we, of course, both countries governed by the military now, so they share the spirits of fighting, with the military government. So that because of the military alliance as well, we become much more connected in terms of, like Thai people feel like, I would say, sympathy toward the Myanmar people, and then the Myanmar people also share the feeling of the Thai people as well. So I think we become more
commons.
Yeah, we have commons. We've become more connected in terms of, I would say, the democracy, fighting for democracy spirit. So we become more connected in terms of that, and then also, like Thai people in general and Myanmar people are very similar in many senses. For example, being a Buddhist, country, and we're very kind. We're very, very, I would say, accepting towards like foreigners and all that. Like we share a lot of similarities, even like the cultures as well. A lot of similarities, so that, they always think of us as like friends. Yeah, and they also think, even like in terms of business or investment, they also share our, they think like Thai products are good products. Yeah, and then they valued they look up to our creativities. So in that part, like creativity in terms of, the creations of art, or like the business, or the way to do marketing or advertising and all that. So yeah, so they look up to us, and then as well, and they usually like from my experience, Myanmar people always look on the positive side toward Thai people.
And what would you like to say, vice versa, to the Thai people or to our audience right now? What would you like to say about Myanmar in your perspective?
So I think, what we need to consider is that they are our neighbor. And whatever happens in Myanmar country will affect directly and indirectly to us. to Thailand anyway. We need to be more, I would say, we need to be more informed, and we need to be more informed for Thai people on the situation in Myanmar. And of course, most importantly, is that humanitarian assistance is the key. We need to help the people. We need to help, like friends, right? If you are in trouble, if we can help, we need to help. So it's like the helping hands that we give to them, it may pay back.
Supporting each other.
Yes, it may pay back in the future. Support each other is the key. Whatever happens, I don't know about the government relations or whatever, but they're like,
in terms of people
to people, we must help each other. Yeah.
Okay,ค่ะ คุณ Eddie, for today, thank you very much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
thought and perspective about Myanmar. And I'm
It's a
pretty sure
pleasure.
after this tape, a lot of people would like to visit Myanmar more after what you actually have advised and say to them. So for today, Voice of the Nation, thank you very much, and stay tuned with us from Monday to Friday from 8 to 8:30 p.m. And also, I would like to thank you, the Hukajong House, for hosting us here. สวัสดีค่ะ